China, India, Russia, Turkey. These are the states that have been often studied in the status-seeking literature in international relations. The story goes like this. Some states grow dissatisfied with their standing in world politics, and they engage with activities that would elevate that standing vis-à-vis other states. Other states accommodate or don't accommodate their status ambitions. The literature seems to be quite concerned with what happens if this accommodation doesn't happen and the status seeker gets aggressive in their foreign policy. Both neorealist approaches that focus on material power competition and constructivist approaches focus on identity tell this story in different ways. When I was reading this literature, I had three original questions. Why is there a significant and predominant focus on some states only? Why some states get to be called status seekers and others don't? Why don't we have many cases of status seeking as well? Why don't we have states that stop status seeking and they're satisfied with their status and they move on? Why is there also an almost exclusive focus on the state elite in this literature? I ask these questions because I've been working on Turkey and I know how status and how important and complex status ambitions and anxieties are in the country, and how they are deeply ingrained into Turkey's domestic politics, popular culture, society, and economy, not only in the last 10, 20 years, but in the last 200 years. I don't think the rationalist and state-centric status-seeking approaches can capture this complexity because they offer limited understanding of what status-seeking is, what it does, how it is affected, because they accept the state as given and prediscursive status-seeking. So the main aim of my article is to develop a new framework that unpacks and conceptualizes the relationship between the state, status seeking, and the production of the state as a subject in world politics. In my article, status seeking is conceptualized as a performance of statecraft, which is a process of becoming state as a subject in world politics. Statecraft says that becoming state never ends, it needs repetitive performances, and status seeking is part of that process. The performativity framework that I developed in the article, which is very much derived from post-structuralist approaches in IA, but also queer approaches, replaces status seeking with status performances. Status seeking implies intentionality and rationalism. Status performances refer to repetitive citational practices that produce the state in a particular way. The subject, as a result, whether it is great power United States or humanitarian Turkey or rising power India, appear and feels normal, because citational practices generate normalcy about the subject. What does it mean? Why does this matter? First of all, we don't need a special category of status seekers in IA. All states are so-called status seekers. And status can never be achieved because as part of statecraft, constant repetitions are needed to create the normalcy about that particular status. And status performances cannot be limited to the state elite. It happens in multiple political sites. In this framework, I particularly focus on selective historical memories as part of state's autobiographical narratives, yes, told by the state elites, but also by academic IA discourse in the country. How do they tell these stories? How do they bring historical memories? How do they decide heroes and villains in these stories that produce country, the state, in a particular way? In addition to that, we need to look at visual citational practices, particularly in the media. So the framework studies these three areas as part of status performances. I then illustrate this performative framework in the case of humanitarian Turkey. I study status performances by the state elite, but also academic IR discourse in Turkey, what kind of stories they told, and how they produced humanitarian Turkey in their discourse, but also look at the visuals in the media, how humanitarian Turkey was produced through the images. That was the main question. And in the methodology section in the article, I look at, you can see how I bring visuality and visibility analysis to this framework, performative framework. In conclusion, status matters in world politics for all states because it is part of statecraft. It is about becoming state as subjects in world politics. But it cannot be limited to the state elite level. And particularly status analysis in IR should be more attentive to articulations of historical memories in these performances, in discourse, but also in visuals. Thank you.